Have approval for the minutes? A motion and a second?
We need a roll call, Mr. Berman.
Oh, roll call, please. I'm sorry.
Leonard,
Leonard here.
Ford, Martin,
Martin present.
Sanchez,
Sanchez here.
Sturgis, Tepe,
Debbie here.
Pirog,
Here.
Shepro,
Shepro present.
Berman.
Berman's here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Now I need a motion to approve minutes.
Leonard moves.
Leonard moves, Ford second. Any changes or corrections? Have a roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Curtis, yes.
Tepe,
Debbie, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Passes.
Do we have any public comments? Anyone online? Anyone present? Hearing none, we'll move on to Mr. Kilbourne's Treasury Report.
Good morning. The Treasury Report is included with the board report. Just some highlights of that. The investment accounts gained a 0.6% last month, while the demand C, which is most of the accounts that are specialized, only brought in 0.7%, and together it was 0.45. Recently, U.S. Secretary Treasurer Janet Yellen indicated that we're going to have high inflation into mid-2022, which the market is waiting to see how the bonds are reflected with that information as we move forward. So we're aware of that and making investment decisions based on what could happen in the near future. Within the office, as you all know, the elevator is out of service while it's being repaired. Our office is working daily with the security deputy detail at the front door to make sure that if anyone enters the building and has a problem with being able to make it up the stairs into the office, that they notify us and we come down and potentially conduct business in the lobby to service the people who can't make it up the stairs. Tax sale is Monday. So Friday is the last day to pay your taxes. Right now, we have collected 99.24% of the taxes due. So we will have the tax sale on Friday because it won't be 100%. But we're moving forward with that. And I stand for any questions, anything additional.
Question, Shepro.
Yes, sir.
Shepro.
Mike, how many people have paid since the list was published?
I'm sorry, board member. I don't have that exact information, but they are trickling in, but obviously it's slowing down as we get to the end here.
And did Yellen, I saw the article, but I didn't read it in detail. What is her definition of high inflation?
She expects a normalized of 2% to return after mid-2022. And I don't know if she used that term normalized, but she said 2% was acceptable or to be expected.
If I may, this is Chairman Pirog. I think, did I read that it was going up to 6% next year? Is that correct? And then it's supposed to come down to that a normalized value?
I know the Social Security is going up.
No, we know that. We
Yeah,
know
but
that.
yeah.
I've not seen a projection that said 6%. I did see that she had mentioned that by mid-2022, she expected it to get back to 2%.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting a no way. I'll have to look for that article. I was reading it at night before I fell asleep. Maybe
Well,
I was dreaming on investments.
3-4 months ago, we were told that the inflation was transitory. So we'll see what that gets us.
But it's definitely going to last next year.
Yes, ma'am. At least into 22, that's the official statement. And I would say that if that's the official statement, it'll go beyond that.
To
So,
23. Okay. And one more question, if I may. When you conduct this sale, the tax sale, is it going to be downstairs
uh,
or is it going to be done virtually?
Well, yeah, it's done virtually. It no longer, in the past, before COVID, it was an actual auction and there were groups of people. At this point, last year during COVID, they switched to a virtual option where everyone brings in a zip drive with their bids. And that's what will be occurring. It will be held here in the building, but there shouldn't necessarily be a group.
Okay,
And
but
that-
we will be expecting people to line up.
Yes,
to
ma'am.
give you their zip drive.
But remember, the state legislature and the governor signed a new law for a single buyer rule. In the past, if I owned ABC company and I wanted to have more bids than just myself, I could hire people to come in and make bids. And I could have 20 people bidding for me. The new law indicates that you can only bid for yourself or your company. So in the past, I've been told we've had over 100 people bidding. Right now, we're a 32 or 30. About 32 people bidding. And Board Member Shepro, we have just around 3,000 who have not paid.
Thank you.
And that's thanks to Maria, who was listening and came in with the information.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Alan, question?
Yes, Ms. Allen.
May I ask how that percentage, the 99.24, sounds pretty good. Do you have some records that would say how that compares with the last year or so?
That's basically in line as you get down to the end here. There's no significant difference. I can't tell you, because COVID let it stretch out a little longer. So last year may have been a little higher due to the extended time period.
Thank you, sir.
As I recall, last year, the tax sale,
Questions of,
just one comment. Last year, I seem to recall, was really this year that the tax sale was not held till like February 1st.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer.
any other questions, comments?
I do, if I may. It's Chairman Pirog again.
All right.
Out of those 3,000 people, will we get an idea if they're businesses and what the value of that is? The reason why is that those individuals may have been impacted by financial matters due to COVID. I'm just curious on that. Is that available or can that data be put together? I'm sorry.
We can get some of that information because there are some use codes to it, but it's not going to be exact.
If you could share that with my office once
Okay.
it comes in, I'd appreciate it.
And the final number will be end of the day Friday at 4:30 when the office closes. Then that file becomes final and is sent out to the buyers.
End of day Friday on this upcoming.
This Friday, yes.
Okay, very good.
The 29th, I think. Yes.
Right, that's right. Okay, thank you.
Very good. Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Mike. Item 5 is Finance Director, Mr. Honzik.
Good morning, everyone. I'll start with reviewing some of the highlights of my monthly report. As always, in the beginning of my report, I show some explanations of variances compared to where we would expect people to be on average year to date. And I've noted some of the points at which some of the departments or special revenue funds may already have exceeded their annual budget at this point for certain line items or classifications. And I've noted where some budget adjustments may be required at year end. Looking at the shared revenue from the state, we're doing amazingly well. compared to both how we budgeted and compared to where we were at year to date last year. Again, we budgeted conservatively because of the drop in revenue last year. But so in comparison then to last year, in total, we're up almost $6.3 million in revenue. And compared to the budget, we are up $7.9 million compared to what we had budgeted. So that's very good news indeed. As you can see, sales tax revenue is significantly higher. That is really a reflection of the improvement in the economy, as well as some of the benefit from the cannabis sales tax now coming into the county. And we also had an increase in state income tax, although that's not something that necessarily will continue, but it did occur this year. I will, looking at health insurance fund monitoring, as of October 20th, we're about $2.8 million more collected in refunds and contributions from the county employees, retirees, and COBRA participants than has been expensed. Some of this is timing in terms of when payroll is processed versus when invoices are paid. But that at least gives you an idea of where we're at this point in the year. And the cash balance is at $8.8 million. So we're been steadily rising there and are approaching the $9 million target that we had hoped to accumulate there. So we'll see what the final number is when we get to year end and we have all the accruals, and that will really give us a more accurate sense of where we are. But this is a more general idea at this point. In terms of American Rescue Plan funding, I know there's more specific information that's provided to the committee, but this is just a general summary that I've prepared. We have about $41 million remaining, and I've in my report I've indicated some of the significant large dollar figures that have been expended so far. So we have $1.8 million for the mass vaccination site. We have that 182,000 additional funding for the mass vaccination site. We have the $7.4 million for revenue recoupment for fiscal year 2020. We have funding for contact tracing of 486,000. And then we have the reimbursement to the county for COVID-19 expenses that was recently approved by the board for 499,000. And we have some administrative expenses. So that's what brings us to the total of $41.3 million balance. And that's before we receive our second payment that's expected the spring of next year. The special reserve component balances, we have $6.7 million left from the COVID-19 payroll reimbursement, but please note that that entire amount has been incorporated into the draft budget for 2022. So at this point, you can consider that entire amount expended. We still have the reserve for the JJC build out of 125,000. And we have the reserve that was put aside this year of 320,000 for the biennial election next year. And so that 320,000 is built into next year's budget and can be considered expended at this point. In terms of our contingency, we have $737,000 left that's available for general need, and we still have the same $50,000 left that was set aside for adult prisoner room and board. Capital funds, building management is 32% expended, information technology 53%, and multi-use facility 72%. The bond refunding, as you've known from the various communications that have been sent out, we actually had a successful sale, and the closing on the bond refinancing is scheduled for tomorrow, and that's really when the final formal legal documents will be signed it's submitted and the sale will be official. This will result in a total net interest savings of almost $415,000 with an interest rate of 0.43%. The cost of service study is still underway. As soon as we have the results, we'll share them with you, and any recommendations for fee increases will be presented to you at that time. And then if the board so chooses to increase the fees in accordance with the study's recommendations, we can then incorporate that additional revenue into the fiscal year 2022 budget through a budget amendment or budget adjustment. The fiscal year 2022 budget has been placed on public display. The official deadline was October 25th. And I do already have an amendment proposed. I had sent that out to you via email for a correction to the state's attorney's office budget. And I can address that in more detail when we get to that resolution. For purchasing, we have a few bids that were new for the month of September, and that would be for HVAC mechanicals, for building automation system, enterprise agreement for GIS, street court or Third Street Courthouse electrical upgrades, and then water operator for environmental and water resources. And there's currently 4 other bids and 1 RFP out. And there were no quote savings. The estimated bid savings were for about $65,000 for the Church Molitor Drain project and $113,000 for Ogden Gardens water storage tank. There was $55,000 for the generator replacement at KDOT and about $2,000 for the gasoline diesel fuel renewal. There was $11,600 collected from auction, and the total savings for September was $247,000, with the year-to-date total of $633,000 savings for the year. Regarding the 2022 budget, I do have a very large presentation that I put together. I don't intend to go through it with you today. I really wanted to prepare that. A lot of it was something that was already presented to you in previous meetings. I just wanted to update the figures with the final figures so that you have a complete, up-to-date reference tool of everything in one place that shows you where we started. And just to refresh your memory, all of the detail for the budget had been presented to you at the committee of the whole meetings in July and August, and then the detail reports were provided on the finance department website. So all that detail is there. Now, what I've done since then is shown you the steps at what was changed in that underlying detail in order to balance the budget. That's all presented in this presentation. And then it shows you a comparison of individual like major line items to show, like what revenue line items changed in comparison to fiscal year 21, what expense line items changed, so that you have a sense of what's led to this large increase from FY21 to FY22, and then the various components that were used to balance the budget, including use of the reserves. So all of that is in that presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have specific ones, but I just wanted to provide that for you. So that's all I have now, and would be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman, this is Bill Leonard. Could I ask Mr. Onsick a question?
Yes, Mr. Leonard.
Or make a statement, I should say. First of all, Joe, I wanted to thank you very much for all the great work you did on the 22 budget. And I think it's something that you kind of glossed over, but I think it was a nice plus that I think we should let everybody recognize with restructuring the obligation bonds. I think we had anticipated originally about a $300,000 savings. It came in at $414,000. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that was involved in that, because not only generated what we had hoped it would generate, but it generated another 33%, over 33% more. So thank you very much, Joe.
Yes, thank you.
Here, here.
And I think we also want to thank the department head because there was going from that $15 million deficit that we had in the budget to balancing the budget was quite a thing. Everybody had to give up something. So it was a great effort. And thank you, Joe.
Mr.
Any other
Berman?
questions of Joe on the monthly report?
No, I would just, Chairman Pirog, I would just like to compliment, to follow on your statement to all of our department heads. It was very difficult for them to give up their staff lines that they had hoped to develop their work for next year. And a savings of, I think, $2.3 million is much, much appreciated as we go through this transition. So a shout out of thanks to all of them.
Mr. Chair,
Very good. Yes.
Mr. Chair, Vern Tepe here.
Yes, Mr. Tempe.
Being new to the board, this being my first year going through this process, there are things about this budget that has me extremely concerned. One of them is that the budget is being balanced by using $10 million in reserves. And that the preponderance of those reserves are coming from the ARP funds or from other government funds. I find that very disturbing. I also find it very disturbing that for the past 10 years, there has been no increase in property taxes, that the board has chosen to forego any of those kinds of increases. And looking back, that particular increase now leaves us with a $16 million gap in funds that could have been billed had some of those charges or had all of those charges put in. And I can imagine keeping that down. But going an 11th year without increasing taxes is, I think, a failure on the part of this board to really do its fiduciary responsibility in taking care of things. And I call that a failure because it's our job to make sure that the county is properly financed, okay? A 1.4% increase in taxes in my personal situation, I currently pay about $300 a year in county taxes. A 1.4 increase is worth about $4 to me, and I can readily afford $4. But the key things that bother me are the things that are happening in the county. First off, we have scores of people that are working for this county at minimum wage. We have people that are working for this county who have to work 2 jobs in order to afford to live here. Okay. We have people that are working for the state's attorney's department or the public defender's department who work here and then leave to go to other counties because those counties have a higher pay scale. Why are we not really doing a job in taking care of things? Okay. So why are we afraid to raise taxes? We provide a tremendous value to our taxpayers. Why aren't we yelling this from the rooftops? Our sheriff's department, state's attorney, chief judge, and public defenders all work together to improve people's lives. That's more than impressive. Our health department has performed brilliantly during this pandemic. Our county clerk's office has installed equipment and implemented procedures that make our voting system among the best in the country. Every department in this entire county provides exemplary service. Even the county board is nonpartisan. Well, at least most of the time, okay? So is this worth $4 a year? Well, damn right it is. So let's put this back in the budget right now. Thank you.
Very well put, Mr. Tepe. Any other comments?
Come on.
I'll follow up. What I'd like to know, and perhaps Joe can provide this for us, and you can just send it out to us via email. I believe it was about $700,000 if we were to raise the property tax. What was it? 682,000.
792 is what I got from Joe.
Yeah.
Say 700,000. Give or take. Well, we may get some new growth coming in. If we are considering, and I think we need to lay it on the table, and I hope we're all realistic, if we do not pass an increase of property tax this year, but if we decide, and we're going to have to make some very judicial decisions next year as we pass the 23 budget, there's no question about this. If we're going to be moving forward with a countywide sales tax, if that fails, which it may, we have 50-50 chance, it's either going to win or lose. If that fails, how are we going to continue funding the county? To Mr. Teppe's point, we need to take a look at our salaries. We have some structural capital issues, improvement issues in this building and several other of our buildings from delayed maintenance over a period of 10 years because of fiscal prudence. So my question is that if we forego this year's property tax increase of $700,000 altogether how much more money would we lose pending next year? So what does that compound? What does that look like? Is that going to be an increase of $1 million extra? Not, I don't know. But if you could do that projection for us, Mr. Onzek, I would deeply appreciate at least having that knowledge so that we can make a good decision as we move forward.
Yes, I can calculate that for you.
Well, Mr. Onzek did a job showing what we've missed in the last 11 years. So that was something like $16 million, as I recall.
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Chairman, Sturgis here.
Yes, Burgess.
I've had conversations with other board members as we've gone on here, and not to beat a dead horse, but in this particular case, we keep using the term that we've balanced this budget, and we haven't balanced the budget. All we've done is borrowed money to make the line items look balanced. Our revenues in versus our expenditures out are not balanced. And I don't have any, I mean, publicly, I don't have any problem dipping into the COVID fund monies because while, you know, Mr. Onzek is absolutely a genius that does things that I could never dream of, you know, I don't know that we can compute what this COVID has done to us in its entirety. So using some of those monies, I'm not object to. Using the monies from the property tax freeze fund, I'm not object to. That's why we put those in and use those to balance or load if we have extra at the end of the year. I am against the gas tax and raising that. Mr. Tepe, I've heard you loud and clear in terms of property taxes and expenditures for our staff and how we have the perception that we're slipping behind. But those studies are all ongoing right now. We have more stuff in the works trying to quantify and identify exactly where those deficiencies are. And while I don't believe any of us are comfortable with where we're at, I don't think that we should overreact until we have the results of these studies to actually focus on where we need to be. And then finally, you know, when I first came to this board, the very first meeting that I was involved with was a union negotiation debacle that had occurred over a 2% agreed raise that we thought everybody was on top of. And I don't want to sidestep the notion that, you know, one of our biggest line item expenses is our payroll. And if your payroll is going to be going up 2% a year each and every year, but your revenues aren't, how are you going to bridge that? I mean, that's pretty simple math to try and comprehend. So I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't be looking at that, but I don't want to lose the fact that we shouldn't only be comparing ourselves against other collar counties in our area. We should be considering, comparing ourselves against other surrounding states and how their counties put things together. And I don't ever want to lose sight of that because we have tunnel vision and a small crisis that we're trying to comprehend and achieve right now. There's bigger fish out there that are doing it better than we are, and we should be seeking information from them while we're going forward. And I don't want to grandstand. Hopefully I've been very nonpartisan with this and I've been very clear. And I think that over the next 6 months, as information from these studies and reports begins to bubble forward, the problem is the budget's due now and that information won't be here in time. And where do we go from there? So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments at this time? All right, Joe.
Thank
Continue.
Okay.
Our fiscal year 22 budget.
Yes, okay, so I already made my comments regarding the presentation. So now it's just a matter of, I guess, running through these, the ordinance and resolutions. The very first one is adopting the fiscal year 2022 annual appropriations. This is, the language is all the same that we use every year other than updating the year. So there's nothing new in this, but this is the actual ordinance that adopts the draft budget. What I'm proposing is that it be amended in order to incorporate the correction to the state's attorney's salaries and wages that were overstated due to an error on my part by $246,666. When I was doing the calculation of trying to determine the amount that was greater than 2% of an increase that was built into their requested budget, I ended up double counting the portion that the sheriff had contributed to the state's attorney's office during fiscal year 21. I listed it separately, but failed to recognize that it was already in the amended budget. So I was adding $250,000 to a budget that already included the $250,000. And there were a couple other minor things that needed to be adjusted that brought it down to $246,000. So because it's such a significant amount, I thought we needed to correct it, especially out of fairness to all the other departments and offices who weren't able to keep their increases. So it's just a simple two-line item change where we'd be moving the $246,666 out of the state's attorney's salary line item. And then rather than remove it completely out of the budget, I propose that we just move it into the contingency line item and leave it there for whatever other purposes the board decides to use it. And if it's not needed, then it goes back into the general fund balance. So it's not wasted at all. But that's my proposed amendment. I sent out the documents to everyone with that amendment. So if there's anyone who would like to propose that this be amended, then that would be great.
This is Leonard. I would like to propose.
What? Oh, don't we have to, you have a motion to approve the ordinance and then amend it before we approve it?
Yes.
I believe we can amend the
can we-
ordinance before we approve it. And I think that's what Mr. Ansick was requesting, but I'm not sure. Mr. Shepro, what's your thought on that?
Well, I was going to ask a question. Yeah, Mr. Berman, may I respond?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Shepard, yes.
I get the idea of having the amendment there, but if we pass this as is, or as proposed to be amended, this is then what goes to the county board for approval. And I guess my question would be, is that the way we actually want it to come out? Or would it be sufficient to have essentially this be an explanation rather than incorporated into the final adoption ordinance, which the county board will get?
Well, we're changing it, so therefore I think we need to make a motion to approve the ordinance and then amend it and then approve the ordinance.
Yeah, okay, if that's the case, then I think, yes, the proper procedure would be to move to essentially amend by replacing the agenda item with this amended version. That could arguably done, Mr. Chairman, by unanimous consent to do that, and then proceed to, then it would simply stand amended for the final vote to adopt it by this committee.
All right. All right. Do we have consent on the amendment? Any opposition to the amendment? If not, then we all agree that it to the amendment. So now we need a motion to approve the ordinance as amended.
Leonard
Do I have a
moves.
motion and a second?
Martin seconds.
Leonard moved, Martin second. Discussion?
I have a comment. Can you please read into the minutes exactly what the amendment change it is so that it's clear? I know what it is, but if you can just articulate it, please.
Would you like me to read that?
The amendment is to Shepro. The amendment, as I understand it, is to amend the draft resolution adopting the draft ordinance adopting the fiscal year 2022 annual appropriations to amend it by adding to the initial recital the words as amended to include the following adjustment, and then line item 001 300 340,000 general fund state's attorney's salary and wages, a decrease of $246,666, and line item 001 900 900 85010 general fund contingency salaries and wages, an increase of $246,666.
Thank
Very
you.
good, thank you.
Mr. Berman, question?
Yes,
Sturgis. Joe,
go ahead.
on these,
Sturgis.
was this just a computational error, or was this taking back or reducing some of the new positions that were proposed? I thought it was just computational. Okay,
Yes,
It is.
it's only computational.
thank you, sir.
All right. Any other questions, any other comments? Can we have roll call, please?
Ford. Leonard.
Leonard, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis.
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe.
Tepe abstain.
Berman.
Berman, yes. All right, motion passed. All right, moving on. Next is the resolution.
Mr.
Adopting
Chairman,
tax levy for the- Yes, sir.
Shepro Parliamentary
Yes,
Inquiry.
sir.
I know
Yes.
that the state attorney has in the past indicated that on final passage, each of these items has to be separately moved and voted upon. It cannot be part of the board's consent agenda. My question is that in the interests of, unless it is legally necessary at the committee level to do the same thing, I guess that would be my question for the chair and or for the state's attorney, is whether at this stage we could move some of these forward without the necessity of having another 19 roll calls.
I would believe that we could move them all together. And I see no reason. They're published. Everybody's had an opportunity to read them. I think if there's anyone that would like to remove any of those resolutions from the motion, then I think that we could do that. But other than that, I think we could move them all together.
Shepro, just follow up. Unless Director Onzik has anything he feels necessary to call out with respect to any of them.
Well,
If I can intervene for a moment, it's our belief that legally you'd have to go one by one and not through this by consent unless it's on the full board under a consent agenda portion. I apologize. I know that's going to take a lot longer, but we can
Even at the committee level, Jamie?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Let's move ahead then. Item 2, a resolution adopting the tax levy for the general fund.
Leonard moves.
57,000.
Martin seconds.
Leonard moves.
Martin seconds.
Martin second. Discussion.
I just have a comment.
Roll call.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I just wanted to point out that this general fund tax levy includes an increase to cover new construction. And so what it does is it requests an amount larger than what we currently are estimating for new construction, but then allows me or the authority to adjust it downwards to only increase the levy amount to the exact amount that the new property increases once we have that final figure, which won't be until February. But that's just the only unique thing about this particular resolution.
Comment, Shepro.
Mr. Shepro.
I believe, Joe, that that is not, I mean, typically you do that all the time because if you underestimate it, you won't capture all the new growth.
Yes.
So you estimate on the high side, and then there's a reduction that then is put into place when the final numbers are determined.
Yes, and this is what we've been doing every year since we've been incorporating the increase for new construction.
Any other comments?
Question,
Yes.
Sturgis. Joe, for this
Sturgis,
first
yes.
one, for this first one here, when we say increase the levy, does that include the gas tax? I'm just point of clarity. That's not in this motion.
No.
No,
Correct?
no. This is just the property tax levy that funds the general fund.
Yeah, that's what I anticipate. I just wanted to make sure.
Where's the gas tax?
I couldn't find it.
The gas tax is not on the agenda, I believe. It is merely, well, it's not on the agenda.
No, there's several months we have before that can be or has to be considered. We have until, I believe, April 1st to submit an approved ordinance increasing the tax levy. I'm sorry, increasing the motor fuel tax in order for the Illinois Department of Revenue to begin collecting it on July 1st. So there's only 2 points in the year in which the Illinois Department of Revenue allows us to change the motor fuel tax. One would be beginning January 1st and one would be beginning July 1st. We missed the deadline for the January 1st, that was October 1st. So now our next deadline is April 1st. So we have between now and April 1st to pass an ordinance that would increase the motor fuel tax.
All right, any other questions?
Copy, please.
Kobe, yes. Yes, Mr. Kobe.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. I'm a little confused on the gas tax. It has not been passed, but it is budgeted, the increase is budgeted. Is that the way I understand that?
No.
That's true.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, I'm sorry, I heard two different answers there.
Well,
No, I would just to clarify that there is no increase included in this budget for motor fuel tax. What the only mention of it is in my presentation is that I guess the verbal agreement with KDOT and transportation, people interested in the transportation area board members, was that the RTA sales tax allocation to the Division of Transportation would be reduced by 5%, and it would be increased in the general fund by 5%. And I guess to go along with that was the understanding that the motor fuel tax would then be increased later in the year to help offset KDOT's revenue loss. So it was more of a verbal agreement. There's nothing official. And this was to be determined by consideration of the ordinance that was going to be put forth by the Transportation Department to the Transportation Committee in the upcoming months, and then it would be decided upon by the county board.
Joe, thank you.
any other questions? So we have a motion and a second to approve tax levy, general fund. A roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Burgess, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe abstain.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
passes.
All right. Item 3, a resolution adopting a tax levy for the insurance liability fund. We have a motion and a second to approve.
Burgess moves.
Ford seconds.
Surges moves, Ford second. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Burgess, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe abstain.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
Item 4, a resolution adopting a tax levy for the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. We have a motion to approve.
Leonard moves.
Martin seconds.
Leonard moves, Martin second. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Burgess, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe abstain.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
And item 5, a resolution adopting a tax levy for the county highway fund. We have motion to approve.
Ford moves.
Ford moves,
Leonard seconds.
Leonard second. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Burgess, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe abstain.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Item
this
number
is
6.
Leonard. I think we
Yeah.
missed Resolution 5, adopting a tax levy for Social Security Fund. Did we? No, we just did the
That's when
highway.
we just. No. Yep. We missed, okay. Item 5. Adopting a tax levy for Social Security Fund.
Leonard moves.
Ford seconds.
Discussion? This is resolution, Social Security Fund tax levy. Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
passes.
Item 7, adopting a tax levy for the county bridge fund. Motion to approve. Board moves.
Leonard seconds.
Do we have, all right. Motion to second and discussion. Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
passes.
Item 8, a resolution adopting a tax levy for the county highway matching fund. We have a motion to approve.
Ford moves.
Surges, second.
Board moves. Who second?
Surges, seconds.
Surgeon second. All right. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
passes.
And resolution 9, adopting a tax levy for the King County Health Fund. Motion to approve.
Surges moves.
Surgeon moves. Yep. Discussion. Ford second. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
And item 10, a resolution adopting a tax levy for the Veterans Commission Fund.
Surges
Need a
moves.
motion?
Surges moves.
Leonard seconds.
Sturgis moves. All right. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
And item 11, adopting a tax levy for the Shirewood Farm Special Service Area, amount of $110.
Surges moves.
Ford seconds.
Burgess, Surges. We have a second. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
And item 12, adopting a tax levy for the Wildwood West Special Billing Area, a total of $10,000. We have a motion.
Ford moves. Martin seconds.
Ford moves, Martin second. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
And item 13, adopting a tax levy for the Cheval DeSalle Special Billing Area, the amount of $2,220. We have a motion.
Leonard moves.
Surges, seconds.
Leonard moves. We have a second. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
Resolution 14, adopting a tax levy for the Plank Road Estates Special Billing Area. To the amount of $1,775. Do we have a motion?
Burgess moves.
Martin seconds.
Surges moves.
Cliff.
Do we have a second?
Martin,
Martin, second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
passes.
And item 15, a resolution adopting a tax levy for the Exposition View Special Billing Area.
Ford moves.
Leonard
Ford moves.
seconds.
Leonard, second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
passes.
Item 16, a resolution adopting a tax levy for the Pasadena Drive Special Billing Area. We have a motion.
Ford moves. Martin seconds.
Ford moves, Martin second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
passes.
And 17, resolution adopting a tax levy for the Tamara Dittman Special Billing Area. The tune of $1,215. Do I have a motion to approve?
Ford moves. Martin seconds.
Ford moves, Martin second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
Item 18, adopting a resolution, tax levy for the Church Molitor Special Service Area, the tune of $3,334. Do we have a motion to approve?
Leonard, or Ford moves, Leonard seconds.
Ford moves, Leonard second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
Item 19, a resolution adopting a tax levy for the 45W185 Plank Road Special Service Area to the tune of $4,000. Do we have a motion to approve? Okay,
Leonard moves.
Burgess seconds.
Leonard moves, Surges second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
Item 20, resolution adopting a tax levy for the Crane Road Estates Special Billing Area. Motion to approve?
Martin moves.
Leonard seconds.
Martin moved, Leonard second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
passes.
Oh, resolution 21, amending the Kane County financial policies regarding RTA sales tax allocation.
Leonard moves.
Martin seconds.
Leonard moves. I have second discussion.
This is Director Onzik.
Yes, Joe.
Yes, okay, I just wanted to explain that in order to change the RTA sales tax allocation to the general fund and to the transportation fund, it needs to be done by amending the financial policies because that's what dictates that allocation. So this resolution is what accomplishes that.
Any questions, discussion? Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
And item 22, an ordinance authorizing fiscal year 2022 non-union wage increase.
Martin
Sturgis
moves.
moves. I defer. to
Martin moves,
Sturgis second.
second. Do we, discussion? Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
And item 23, a resolution establishing guidelines for releasing general fund contingency budget for new personnel, autopsy expense, and adult board and care expense.
Martin moves.
Well-
Seconds.
Martin moves, we have second discussion. Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe abstains.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
passes.
And item 24, this is discussion. Use of our budgetary savings from vaccine. Vacancy, excuse me.
This is Director Onzik.
Yes, Joe.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I drafted this as an amendment to the financial policies in order to address some of the concerns that were communicated regarding how we use the budget, in particular budgetary savings that are created by vacancies. And so I tried to put some language together. You know, this may need some work over a few months' time, but I wanted to get it started by at least giving you a starting point from at least my perspective, and then you can, you know, make amendments to it as you see fit. But I'm suggesting that the savings that are created by vacancies shall be allowed to be used, let's see, in accordance with the purpose of the budget for salaries. So budgetary savings created by a vacancy may therefore be used to compensate the remaining employees for working additional hours and or for assuming a greater level of responsibility due to the vacancy, and or to engage the services of a temporary contract employee to perform the duties of the vacated position. So those are some allowed uses of savings that were created by a vacancy. Then you have the situation where a vacancy may be filled at a lower than had been budgeted amount. And in that situation, we're suggesting that those savings may be used to compensate other positions within the department budget for which the job descriptions have been revised to reflect increased job responsibilities and/or level of required expertise. So in other words, if you have a situation in the department where there's a vacancy, let's say a higher level person leaves and now you're filling it, and now as part of that situation, you're reassigning job responsibilities, and maybe as a result of that, you don't need to hire as an experienced person or as qualified of a person, because now you've spread that out among your existing employees. So this is a way to reallocate the budget in that situation. But in any event, when you move from one fiscal year to another, we're saying that your total annualized salaries of the current and vacated positions should not exceed the total annual budget for those vacancies and positions. And that what that does is it tries to ward off any attempts by departments attempting to inflate the individual salary amounts when they're presenting the next year's budget request, and calling that their baseline, and then only adding 2% to an inflated baseline. So this is just a way to make sure that that doesn't happen, and trying to simplify the language as much as possible. So this is the starting point for such a policy statement, and I welcome any suggestions and enhancements to it, clarifications or corrections, anything you have to offer, and we can do this over a period of time.
Question, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chair, Tepe here.
Yes, yes. Happy?
Mr. Chair, this policy, and I really appreciate Mr. Onsek starting with this. This policy was created by him to address some of my concerns, and he was kind enough to start the discussion with me. I've since had a discussion with Mr. Surgis, and we both feel that this should go to the Human Services Committee to be vetted. I think that might be the proper area for handling this, and I'd like to send this, I don't know whether it's a table or sending it to the Human Services Committee. I think it should go there.
Motion to refer.
Second.
We have a motion to refer to the Human
Human
Services.
Services Committee.
Right. Any discussion on this motion and second?
I think we just need a
Yeah.
Voice vote?
discussion.
I'm sorry.
You know,
Who was
Gail,
speaking?
I think we just need a consensus on this group to move it to Mr. Surgis's committee. And if we have.
Well, we've already got the motion second. I think all it requires is a vote. So all those in favor say aye.
Well, if we have a motion, we have to take a voice vote. Mr. Leonard's solution would work fine.
Well,
We're already there.
Yeah, we're there. That's
Okay.
right. We've already
Yeah.
voted, yeah.
all those in favor say aye. All those opposed?
If you're taking a vote, you have to
Motion
take a roll call.
All right.
It's
Roll call,
only
please.
7 of you.
I'll vote for this one.
Roll call?
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
All right, well. Auditor's report, Ms. Wegman.
Good morning. This is Kristen Jenkins from the Auditor's Office. Our report is on file. I can try to answer any questions. May you have any?
Any questions? Comments? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. New business. Item A. A resolution authorizing fiscal year 21 budget adjustments and transfer from the tax sale and error fund to the general fund. Joe, or you want to? Martin moves.
Leonard seconds.
Leonard, second. Discussion.
I'm sorry, did you call on me to explain this? I'd be
Well, I
happy.
just wonder if there's any, if anyone need any explanation. Doesn't appear to do so. Let's have roll call, please.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
sorry. Ford, Leonard, Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
Item B, a resolution
I'll-
approving the purchase of vehicle. I'm sorry.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman Shepro.
Yes, Chairman.
Should the committee desire, I believe that unlike the levies, this could be done as a single motion with anybody accepting that to call it out. All these remaining items, the budget adjustments.
I would certainly love to do that. Does our state's attorney agree?
I thought she said yes before she left.
Yes. So noted.
Is that, is that a yes? All right. Well,
I think we have.
is
done
there
that
any?
before.
Okay, good enough. We have resolutions from B through Q. Are there any resolutions within that anyone would like to remove and discuss individually?
Could we remove, Sturgis here, could we remove item P? Not that I have any problem with it. I
Item
just like-
P,
Yep, I just like Jared to explain it just a bit.
okay.
Is it P or
We'll
B?
move item P. Is there any
Paul.
other?
P isn't Peter.
P.
Pardon?
P isn't Peter.
P is in Peter.
Martin is a
Anything else?
Martin has a comment, not an objection. I concur in the action we're taking today because of the extraordinary length of the meeting and the detail of the prior discussion and the routine nature of what we're approving in this string of resolutions. I would though like, as a matter of practice, to say that it's these unique circumstances which created this. And then in most cases, we are in fact going to go down the line item by item. I think we need to set eyes on separate things under normal circumstances so that we can better evaluate what we're voting on. But I do concur in today's action.
Well, I think that I agree with what you're saying, but each one of these resolutions has been published, and each one of these we've been able to read and make a decision on. So therefore, there would probably be no discussion on any of them. And all we do
As
is
I
go
said,
to roll call votes.
I concur as to today, but the other aspect of these meetings is that this is the public's opportunity to in fact know a little bit of what we're doing. And if in fact there are issues, they ought to be discussed. And if there's not, typically this isn't a burdensome process. And I'm just saying, I think committees are for discussion, and I would like these, my personal preference would be that we don't en masse approve anything, even though it's been published and otherwise there. But today is an extraordinary moment. My thoughts.
Any other comments? I entertain a motion to approve a resolution B through Q, removing P.
Leonard moves.
Martin seconds.
Discussion. Roll call, please. This is
Ford.
item B through O and Q.
Ford,
Roll call,
Yes.
please.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
approved.
Now we need a motion on resolution P, authorizing King County Health Department 2021 to 2026 strategic plan. Is that Farley was going to, who's
Debbie
Rachel?
moves.
Or is Sturgis?
Sturgis moves, sure.
Debbie seconds.
All right, discussion.
Mr. Chairman, Sturgis.
Sturgis, please.
Yeah, hey, Jared, if you can just help us understand a bit. I know that we have a bunch of working parts right now and so many balls in the air between different plans and different analysis and different consultants. What, if you can just, in a nutshell, what was this strategic plan trying to achieve? And is this all inclusive, or is this just step one of a multi-step process?
Sanchez here. Thanks for the question, Mr. Sturgis. This is part of our accreditation as a public health entity. So it's something that's required of us to do a 5-year plan. I mean, I can send the details out to the full board or to you in particular if you want to see it, but it's really about getting that accreditation. And
That answers my question. Thank you.
Okay, excellent.
Any other discussion?
I have one just to add on to Mr. Jarrett.
Yes,
Chairman
Mr. Chairman.
Turok. This can be amended. The strategic plan can be amended. So as we begin our search for the new health department director, if that individual has other thoughts about it as they get into the position, that this strategic plan can be amended to adjust accordingly. So it's just a guideline at this point.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman,
Any other
Ford, a
comments?
question.
Yes, Mr. Ford.
Thank you. Our health department, though, is a part of our overall master plan.
The facility is correct. That is accurate.
Okay.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Pepe,
Debbie, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
passes.
All right, moving on to old business. I have nothing. And item 9, a motion to replace our reports on file.
Sanchez here and ask for unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent. Very good. Do we need a vote on that?
Without objection, so ordered would be the probable chairman's response.
All right, no objections, so ordered. Very good. Executive session? Not necessary.
I think we should go into executive session.
Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Martin seconds.
Moving second for adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So be it. We're adjourned.